When arranging the groceries from the refrigerator due to the shortage of goods, preparation of a shut-in lifestyle had to be done for the better or for worse. When opening the refrigerator, you might realize there's enough food that could last for a week, thinking that it'll be fine as long as you minimize the consumption of food when needed. But at the back of the mind, there's a voice telling us that it is not enough and needed to buy more for the purpose of just in case. Even if there is not much space left to store, conflicted decisions and reasoning from left to right. But by the end of the day, the idea is not enough has swayed us to buy more, risking ourselves being infected by the virus itself. When I arrive at the marketplace, there is already a line that can be seen in front of the entrance. Registration and limitation had to be done for the sole purpose of the standard operating procedures. Many people have been going for last-minute shopping for goods and raw materials due to the announcement of lockdown, and the action had to be made immediately. The picture you see right now today is the day before the lockdown. It's surprising that people would remain disciplined and in order despite the rising danger that ensues within the world. Looking in a gym room, perfectly placed equipment clean and plugged on, it is a shame that it has not been used since the lockdown started. Ever since the pandemic, people have little option on exercise for two reasons. One, to avoid being infected, and two, the maximum number of people that can enter. These two factors led to the point that people don't even bother going to the gym, just to avoid the complications. Which is what you see on the picture right now. The choice of a healthy lifestyle is even now limited with the daily work that had to be done, but now being imprisoned in our own house. The time when drying one's clothes a cloudy day with a chance of rain that is not good option to do so. But even when the clothing is dwindled and had to be washed to avoid being infected from stains from the air, the cloudy day made me wonder whether this pandemic would end. But by the looks of it, it may last for quite a while due to the constant opening and closing between the borders of this country. In addition of the number of victims and deaths piling up, mostly concentrated from a metropolis, which is where I reside right now. Seeing this sign in front of the pool brings the reminder of the gym as well, but the difference is that there will always be one person at least at this location every time I came to this area. Like the gym, limitations are being set, but the losses are not as devastating as it looks. The leisure itself does not affect the greater problem that looms over the world itself. How many times I walk past this area, but one thing that is sure that there is a factor that still does affect the pandemic even if the significance is low. Seeing this table was recently placed under the outskirts of the apartment building, place of takeaway and courier goods that belong to the residents of it. Due to the lockdown, social distancing was the primary objective, but as time passed, the limitations does affect the development of the industries in the long term. Newer approaches had to be done for the survival by the service of the multiple third parties, in which the management of the apartment responded by setting up on this display, as we'd see now on this picture. When the lockdown started, the standard operating procedures of the pandemic required people to register from one location to another, to be able to know who was there before and during the detection of coronavirus was founded on multiple people. Registration of an application as created for the higher-ups for a more effective registration using QR codes and chain codes. Whether the user is online or not, even if the lockdown has affected the industries, but they still must run despite that, as there will be people coming there for certain reasons. It was during the night on the way home, when stopping at the cross junction. There were only a speck of cars that left on the road. Usually there will be many transportations being held at this location, but due to the lockdown, all locations any business related on mass marketing or selling goods had to be closed at 6 p.m. There was no reason left to come out at night, or even allowed to come out in the first place. Why was I out there in the first place? A reason only to see the situation near this neighborhood. On many pre-screening checkpoints that is located near the hospitals or any care center for the sole purpose of finding out whether they have been infected by the coronavirus or not, or to apply shots for higher resistance from it. This could raise a question whether being here could cause a higher risk of infection or the possibility of giving a higher resistance. When taking this picture, distancing was needed to be done to avoid infection. As I was there, I was actually being called away for the sole purpose of not being involved in it. When I arrive at the marketplace, there is already a line that can be seen in front of the entrance. Registration and limitation had to be done for the sole purpose of the standard operating procedures. Many people have been going for last minute shopping for goods and raw materials due to the announcement of lockdown, and the action had to be made immediately. The picture you see right now today is the day before the lockdown. It's surprising that people would remain disciplined and in order despite the rising danger that ensues within the world. During the lockdown, personal hygiene is important to avoid infection and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Despite the lockdown, but as time passed, the problem arises as there are some things that had to be done at profession. One of which is the hair problem. Due to the lockdown, many industries began to close early or just cannot sustain anymore, which also includes most of the barbershops. If going there is not an option, then you just have to do it yourself. As you can see, the result, it was not pretty, but it does somewhat solve the problem itself in the short term.